It took me almost 34 years of my life to realize that you cannot possibly be a people pleaser and truly love yourself at the same time. Like, it's just impossible. Now, hear me out, because I am going to assume that we've got a fair few people pleasers that are listening to this episode today. And I'm not here accusing you of not having true love towards yourself. But what I am suggesting is that maybe are you guilty of sometimes dropping your boundaries, lowering your standards, not truly appreciating your values in respect to other people, and putting other people's needs before your own. This is self-abandonment, self-sabotage. This isn't love for you. I am so passionate about this topic because, like I said, it took me almost 34 years to recover from this people pleasing. And I think it's really common as children that we do seek out love, validation. We want to be cool in school. We want to be accepted. And that's fine, whatever. But I think when this leads into adulthood, that's where things can get a bit sticky, because not only can it affect your family relationships, your friendships, but I think the most affected is often your intimate relationships, so your romantic partners. And that can really have such a negative impact on you, on yourself, to the extent where, I'll be honest, I genuinely almost lost myself at the beginning of this year through being in a relationship where I definitely had no love, respect, or true appreciation of my worth at all. And you know what? It's funny because I didn't feel it at the time. I'm so passionate about my self-development, my growth, my spiritual journey. And for someone like me, I was so surprised how much of an effect it had on me. And you know, actually, I feel like at some point I am going to record a separate episode relating to this relationship, because there's so much that I've learned from it that I could share with you. And I feel like as time goes on and all of this healing that I've been doing over the last couple of months, I think I could be close to doing that I feel like I could be ready. But anyway, back to boundaries, because it very much relates to this. So a lot of people that are probably listening are empaths. We care, we love, we have compassion, we have kindness, we want to heal, help. We just want to take everyone under our wing, and and that's fine. But you really need to have strong boundaries in place if that is you. So that is very much me. I am an empath. I was in work the other day and one of the girls was leaving and she was saying all this beautiful, beautiful things about us all. And she was crying, she was so emotional. What was I doing? I was crying too. I was taking that energy on. I could feel it in my bones. It was so emotional. There is a lot of positive aspects to being an empath if you manage it effectively. Because as empaths, we are healers. We are able to shine our light to bring positivity and spark into other people's lives and to raise the vibration of the planet. We can do that by supporting other people, but equally, we can also take on a hell of a lot of shit. And that's certainly what I have done in the past. I think it's really important when we are discussing about boundaries is that, first of all, boundaries are to protect you. They're not to keep people out. They're not to give rules to other people. They're not to create drama, conflict. They are literally all about you. And that is what is important here. So these are rules for yourself. So how do we even create these boundaries? How do we create these rules? Where do they come from? And that's where you need to be really clear on your values. What are your values? Once you're clear on your values, you are able to establish boundaries for yourself. So forget about anyone else here. This is about you and your rules for yourself. So a couple of examples. My values are very much so my health and fitness. So for me, that means training at the gym 5 times a week, having 2 rest days, eating well, 80 to 90% of the time, taking my supplements, drinking lots of water, and protecting and caring for my body. So that is my value, my health, my fitness, my diet, my nutrition, going to the gym, keeping active, moving. So my boundaries with that is I get up and go to the gym, whether I can be asked or not. I get up and go. That is my boundary. Beck, you said you're going to go to the gym 5 times a week, you go. It's maybe watching the amount of chocolate that I eat. It's limiting my alcohol consumption. It's being conscious of the nutritional value of what I am putting in my body because I genuinely care. So these are values and boundaries aligning there. Can you see? And that's just for me. That's just about myself. Another value, it kind of relates to health really anyway, but it's sleep. Sleep is a massive value of mine because, again, it's essential for my overall health. But in terms of sleep on its own, it means going to bed at a reasonable time, having a good nighttime routine to just help me wind down, have that quiet time for myself. Ideally, I want to have at least 8 hours sleep a day. I listen to music whilst I sleep, which helps. That's more on a spiritual level, but at least I listen to appropriate frequency of music dependent upon what I need. So I listen to that overnight. And then I like to wake up and do my morning routine, which is very much what I went into in my previous episode. They are sort of, again, my values and boundaries tied into one there. Other values of mine, again, are self-development, growth, so whether that be reading, time for meditation, breath work, journaling, listening to growth-related podcasts, reading self-development books, spending time connecting in nature, generally having that open mind, reflecting on your mindset, your behavior, and, being open-minded towards other people, having those open and honest discussions with others as well. And lastly, another value, I'm sure I've got more, but these are like my key values. Lastly, my freedom and independence is a huge value of mine. So for me, that very much relates to being able to get out and about on my own, do things for me. Often I have my little solo dates, or I may take myself away for a night, go on solo trips abroad, and just generally having quality time for myself, my freedom, my independence, my solo time. Massive value of mine. And that is how I set my boundaries, that I can feel when I need to take that time for myself, and I do so. So again, what are your values? Maybe they're similar, maybe they're different. Family is a huge value. And maybe you implement that into your life by ensuring that 1 day a week is your precious time with your family, your quality time to spend with loved ones, catching up, whether that be face-to-face, Skype, whatever the case may be. You set that time aside. Maybe your priority is very much that you need to get out there hiking, even if it's, again, just once a week. That's essential for you and your life. Maybe your value is your work, your career, and how you would maintain your boundaries with that is that you dedicate so much time a day to your work, so much time studying, going to networking events, and that is an essential part of your weekly schedule. Can you see how when you really clear on your values, you're able to set these rules for yourself of how to meet them, maintain them, and to further build a life around your passion, your priorities? I hope that makes sense. So can you see how these boundaries are literally for yourself, really? But when other people come into play, it becomes critical. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of ways that I have dropped my boundaries and values. Again, relating to this relationship that I was in. So I've already told you about my values, and now listen in on some of these stories here. So the guy I was seeing last year, he was going through a really hard time, to be honest. And again, I think I am going to record a separate episode about this relationship, because it's just, there's so much to be spoken about here. And I am very conscious that I want to be extremely respectful. I don't want to badmouth anybody, and I'm always going to maintain dignity, confidentiality. I would hate to spread that negativity, but this is important. So my ex, he was going through a really difficult time, and I was obviously extremely big into my fitness, my gym schedule. It was on point. There was no negotiation there for me. But a couple of weeks in, he would want to come to the gym with me, and then we would meet up. His mood was really low in the car. He'd be fed up. He had a bad night. He hasn't eaten properly. He's not got the energy. He can't be asked. He affected my routine. Now, this may not seem like a big deal. If there's any gym rats listening in, this is huge. Like, this was my routine. This was my life. This was my passion. It is. It continues to be so. He was affecting my workouts to the extent where sometimes, like, if I would sleep over at his and he didn't want to go to the gym the next day, or he would wake up in a bad mood, he'd not slept again or whatever, and we'd end up not going. And wow, this had such a huge impact on me. And actually, I forgot the main part here. I actually changed gyms for this guy. I changed gyms for the guy. So obviously I had a history at the gym I was at, okay? Take of that what you will. And he didn't like it. And he was all very much like, I just don't feel comfortable you being there. I would prefer it if we had a fresh start somewhere else together, a new gym, new people. And it was the fact that he said it made him feel uncomfortable, and he would struggle. He said that he would struggle pursuing the relationship with how it was. So to me, I'm just like, yeah, fresh start, whatever. Why not? But actually, the gym that I had spent, 10 years of my life, it got me through my divorce. It got me through the COVID when it was open, obviously. It got me through so much. The community there, everything that I'd built for myself, and I left for him. That was a week into our relationship, by the way. And I'll be honest, it was all downhill from there. But like I say, another time. So it was just like an ongoing thing that I'd be skipping sessions for him. And with that, going on to, again, like all related to health and fitness and sleep, I would sleep over, and he'd always have these late nights. He wanted to go to sleep with the television on. And my routine kind of just went out of the window. And I get it, there's a little bit of give and take. And when you're in a new relationship, it's all very exciting. And sometimes you can let things slide a little bit, but when it's costing you yourself, and in this situation, in this scenario, it did. It wasn't just a one-off here and there. It was recurrent. I would be staying there. We'd not be getting to sleep. So till gone past midnight. The telly would be on. I'm really conscious about what I am listening to late at night. As you'll know if you listen to the previous episode all about the subconscious mind and when it's primed, I do not want to be listening to gosh knows what on the television going into my brain. That is extremely important to me. So that bothered me, but I didn't say anything because what can you say? You know, that's how I felt. He never had food in, so often I would either have nothing to eat when I stayed there, or if I did, it'd be like a chocolate flapjack for breakfast. I'm not kidding. And I would almost look forward to going home so I could eat something properly. Again, going back to my values, my health, my nutrition, my gym schedule, my sleep, all went to cock. It all went to cock. And this, like I say, wasn't just a one-off. This was over a few months. Luckily, we wasn't together that long, but in the time that we was, it massively impacted me as a person, to the extent where I think I said it in one of my previous episodes that I did not recognise myself. I looked in the mirror, looked into my eyes in the middle of the gym actually, and I burst into tears. I was so massively affected. So with regards to freedom and independence, he was actually really good at the time. I wasn't driving and he was incredible. Like, he'd help me take me out to the shops so as I could do my food shopping. He'd pick me up, take me to the gym, things like that. So it was helpful. Obviously, it doesn't really go well with my independence, does it? But he was really helpful at a time when I needed it. But in terms of like my freedom and independence of wanting to do things on my own, I don't want to say that he was against it, but he did make several comments that he wouldn't be happy if I went out wearing certain clothes when I was on my own. And also made a comment once that I was more invested in having my solo dates than what I was in maybe taking him out, treating him. Honestly, it sounds pathetic when I say it. I am so gonna do this separate episode because honestly, the shit that I went through, it's like comical now, but at the time, in the short amount of time, my gosh. Anyway, yeah, he made a comment about how, I was more interested in doing stuff on my own than maybe treating him because he was going through this hard time, and why wouldn't I want to spend time with him and things like that. So just to make it very clear here, I went on 2 solo dates in the 5 months that we were together. Hilarious, right? When you think about it. And I think maybe we only went on like 6 proper dates, to be completely honest. But hey, whatever. So yeah, can you see the impact that this had on me? I literally dropped my values, dropped my boundaries, time and time and time again. This was why it had such an impact on me. It made me miserable. It made me feel I couldn't recognize myself. I lost my usual spark. My business, although at the end of the year, I hit a burnout with that anyway, but I had lost all passion or interest for that because my self-development routine, everything around that was just shot at. It just affected so many different parts of my life, and this is the biggest one here that I'm going to share with you guys. And again, total respect for this person. This was a me issue. I never felt pressured in any way, but this is just an example of how little value and worth I felt for myself at that time. It was towards the end of the relationship where I was already very unhappy and I didn't really want to be with this guy, and was just in that in-between window. I'm sure a lot of you have been there, where you're just building up that courage to leave. And we was having sex. I actually did an Instagram reel on this, and the response was insane. So many people have been in similar situations, and it honestly breaks my heart. And I never want to be, oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. I never want to be in this situation ever again. To feel to literally abandon myself to such an extent. But we was having sex, and of course I didn't really like this guy at this point. I didn't want to be with him. I was just, yeah, like I say, building up that courage to leave. And it was painful because, as many women probably know, if you're not turned on, if you're not into it, it can be quite dry, it can be painful and uncomfortable. And it was, because, let's be honest, I didn't really want to have sex with the guy. And I just went along with it. At one point, luckily I wasn't facing him, but I grimaced. I pulled a face. I could feel the pain. I'm doing it now, but you can't see. I'm not recording a video today, am I? But I pulled a face. And I just thought to myself, do you know, it's just so much easier to just go along with this. Like, it'll be over soon. Whatever. And at the time, I didn't think much of it. I was just like, yeah, you know, just get it over and done with, whatever. But when I looked back on that, like a month or so later, after I had left him and that was over, and I, you know, as you do, reflect, I cannot believe I abandoned myself and disrespected myself, disrespected my body, abandoned my soul. And so many people responded to that reel when I posted about it, saying how similar that they'd been. I think a lot of us women can be guilty of it sometimes, that we're just like, oh, can't be arsed tonight, but we'll just do it anyway. But when you genuinely don't have a love, like now I see sex as such a sacred, precious act with someone that you truly love. I see it so differently now, and the level of disrespect towards myself to just go along with that. A massive drop of values, drop of boundaries, a lack of love and self-worth towards myself. So yeah, I'm extremely passionate now about boundaries and maintaining them. And honest to gosh, I get it when you worry about communicating your boundaries and how people will respond. But there's a way to do this. So another example, I actually put this on my Instagram as well. On my stories the other day, I was in the gym, and this guy who I get on really well with, we was chatting away, and he actually asked for my number. And honestly, only maybe 2 or 3 months prior to this is hilarious, this, honestly. Another guy, a different guy, had asked me if I wanted coffee the next day, and it really caught me off guard, and I was like, oh, yeah, whatever, like, just went along with it. I had no interest in this guy at all. He was quite a lot older than me. It's certainly not my type. No interest, no judgment, but just no interest, right? And I accepted this coffee, which clearly it was asking me on a date. And the next day, as I was leaving, he was waiting for me, and I had to make my excuses. It was so awkward, and it's been weird since. You know when you have a conversation with someone and then you reflect on it after, and you're just like, why didn't I just say, like, what have I signed up for here? Why did I do that? Why didn't I just say, no, thank you, have a lovely day? So yeah, going back to at the weekend when this guy asked for my number, again, not interested. We get on really well at the gym, we have good chats, whatever, but I've no interest, and I don't need this guy's number. I don't want to start talking, meeting up, anything like that outside of the gym. I've no interest to. And at one time, I'd have probably given it away. In fact, yes, I have given my number away on many occasions, and then hopefully tried to wean down the conversation so that they eventually get bored of me, rather than just say, I'm not interested. But yeah, on this example at the weekend, when he asked me, and I said in the end, oh, you know, I'm not actually interested. But thank you so much, because I'm flattered and I appreciate the compliment, And of course, it's these guys, it's amazing when people have got the confidence to do that, and I think we should big them up as much as possible. I think it's important, especially this day and age. Like, men are frightened of approaching women, and I think it's important to build people up, because I genuinely respect like the guy's confidence. However, at the same time, I'm not going to go along with this because I don't want it. And what I have further realised, because so many people as well responded to this story saying that they feel the same, that they feel uncomfortable or anxious or don't know how to respond when someone approaches them, and they're unable to like politely decline or reject them, and they've sometimes gone along with things. So I feel that this is important for us to discuss, that when you actually go along with things, you're hurting the person more. So if you think about this from a people pleaser point of view, an empath point of view, of you caring about how this person feels, if you actually go along with this, you are hurting the person more. And equally, you're actually hurting yourself more, because you're just dragging out having to deal with the consequences of this. Whereas actually, you can be so super kind, sweet, polite, but still get your point across, but still say no, but still set your boundaries. So a couple of examples from what we've discussed today, maybe whether it be with regards to sleep, the gym, family time, whatever, how you can set your boundaries is so simple and easy, and you can still be that really kind person that you're wanting to be, that loving person, that positive person that would never want to hurt anybody. You can still be that person, but set your boundaries to protect yourself and other people. A couple of examples. I'll use my own because obviously it's easier, but say the gym is my priority and I'm seeing someone, and maybe they ask to meet up at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. And I'll be like, hey, I'd really love to see you on Sunday. I do have the gym until this time, but if you are free in the afternoon, that would be awesome. Because I need to have the gym first. If I do genuinely want to move it for myself, if that works, then that's totally fine, I'm not completely against switching things up. But it's sort of indicating that these are your habits and routines, and you're not just going to change that up just for someone at the drop of a hat, Drinking, alcohol, that's a really good one, because I know a lot of people nowadays are really pushing for living the sober life, that they're not necessarily that because they're alcoholics and they're going sober, but because they genuinely want to live life without alcohol. They've seen the impact that it can have, and they literally just want to live a life without alcohol. I've had friends like that in the past that are going through phases where they're not drinking, and again, and I've actually got an example of this in the past where I've had a friend who was really unhappy with me because I wasn't drinking, or at least I was actually, but I didn't want to get wasted. I didn't want to have a sambuca shot. I didn't want to get drunk. I had plans for a walk the next day. It was while all COVID was going on, but we were allowed to go out and sit in outdoor venues, so we'd gone out for a nice meal, and she wanted to get blind drunk. It was her birthday, and obviously I was having a few drinks. I was having a great time. You guys, I don't need to drink to have a great time. I can be the life and soul of the party with or without drink. I will enjoy myself and have fun, but actually that's not even the point. The fact is, I didn't want to get drunk, and it was such an issue. I was like the worst friend ever for not drinking. Needless to say, we're actually no longer friends. So much love and whatever, but we're just on different paths. But I'll never forget that, and I will always encourage someone who's having sober time, who doesn't want to drink. Maybe we make other plans, or maybe they're happy like me to still go and sit in a bar and not have a drink, whatever. But you respect them. Don't be afraid of how they react. And actually how they react says a lot about them, not you. And sometimes you have to let these people go. And don't be afraid to set your boundaries. and let people go if they don't respect them. While we're on to like alcohol, veganism, how much hate do people get? I'm a meat eater through and through, but there are vegetarians and vegans out there, and how much hate do they get? Oh, we can't go there because of so-and-so. Oh, just have a little bit. What? That's so disrespectful. Do you get where I'm coming from? Here's just these are just a couple of examples, Again, thinking of sleep or that precious quality time that you need for yourself to wind down in an evening, and your friend's messaging you. She's just fallen out with her boyfriend, life's shit, and she needs a shoulder to lean on. Yeah, send a couple of messages, have that phone call with her, whatever. But at some point, if you need to step away for yourself, it's having that discussion. Hey, I really want to be here. I really want to be there for you and support you. Can we chat tomorrow? Or can we meet up at the weekend? So you're setting your boundaries and offering those options that you want to be there for her or him, but you cannot right now, for whatever reason that may be, and you are happy to catch up tomorrow, at the weekend, whenever. So a good example, going back to my ex, again, he was going through this hard time and I pretty much became his therapist. He liked to speak on the phone, like if he'd had a bad day or whatever, and this one time he'd had a bad day, and he'd messaged me obviously saying, I've had a really bad day. And I was on my phone at the time when it came through, so I rang him straight away because I was on my phone. I rang him. And I don't know whether that was a mistake because it somehow became some sort of routine that he would tell me he's had a bad day or he was going through some sort of shit, and I'd be on the phone to him making him feel better, again being his little therapist on speed dial. And the one time that I couldn't, because by this point it was a few months in, and that was when I was just so freaking drained. He'd literally bled me dry energetically, spiritually. I was actually struggling to even show up for myself. And this one time he had exchanged a couple of messages, and he really wanted to chat. I said, hey, actually, I'm super tired tonight and I could do with getting a really good sleep. I don't feel emotionally available right now to maybe be able to help as much as I'd like to. I hope that's okay. And the messages that I got back, like, oh, you can't even be there for me when I need you. And you don't want to talk to me. I just need 5 minutes of your time. You won't even give me that. Oh my gosh, the amount of times that I was there for him and the one time that I wasn't. And like I say, by that point, I was already spiraling because I was struggling in myself anyway. But again, it just goes to show it's that person's response, how they respond. We're so frightened as people pleasers of hurting somebody, of how they'll respond, of how they'll react to us setting our boundaries, when actually how they react tells us everything we need to know. Don't be afraid to set boundaries. Don't lose yourself like I almost did to please other people, to help other people. I think the thing is, as women as well, we are very empathetic, and I think culturally we're there for other people. We want to help. And also, I think it's important to know that a lot of the time we praise people that, oh, they'll drop anything to be there for you. Oh, they're always at the end of the call. They're always there. We praise people for putting others before themselves, for being the person that's always there, that will do what they can. But is that even okay? I don't think so. I think it's great to be there for other people, but to be that person who's always there. And I think that is where the issue often comes into place. If you are used to being that person, when you do start setting boundaries, it can come as a bit of a shock for others in your life. But if they truly love you, respect you, if they truly want to be in your life, if they truly deserve to be in your life, then they will understand and they will respect you even more. And they will actually encourage you, because like I say, I would encourage my friends and family and loved ones to maintain their values, to show up, to enforce boundaries, to respect their values, and for me to respect them as well. Because I want what's best for someone. And I want people in my life that want what's best for me. And quite frankly, if they can't respect my values, my boundaries, my needs, they can fuck off. It's as simple as that. Honestly, I am so over wanting to be liked, wanting to feel wanted by other people. It literally makes no fucking difference, because to be honest, the things that I have done in the past when I have dropped my boundaries hasn't got me any more respect, any more love, hasn't made me feel any better. And actually, since I have started being honest about, yeah, I don't want your number, yeah, I don't want to share my number, I'm not interested, or yeah, I can't do that weekend because I need to prioritize myself and have a self-care weekend. I can't come round to yours tonight because I need to work on my business. I can't work extra hours tonight because I value my family time. I can't stay up late watching movies, eating takeaways because I need my sleep and rest and to fill my body with nutritional food. Since I actually got clear on my values, set my boundaries, communicated my boundaries, maintained them, I'm actually miles more happier. I have so much more respect for myself. My soul is happy. I'm not denying myself from peace. I'm not abandoning my own needs. And actually, I believe I've earned a lot more respect from other people as well. I genuinely believe that they feel it. They feel your energy. They sense the respect that you have for yourself, and they give it back to you. And like I said, anyone else that doesn't, fuck yeah. It's made me feel so much more prouder. I get that little nervous feeling, like the butterflies. Don't get me wrong, it's hard. But when you do it and it works, the sense of achievement, just being so proud of yourself, the level of growth on your journey is a feeling like no other. Nothing can compare. And that says it all for me. So that is it. What are your values? Have a think about this. Write them down. What are your values? And from there, set those boundaries. You may already have them, by the way, but get really, really clear. Have them for yourself and have them for other people. See how people react. Are they really worthy of being in your life? Question more as to whether someone deserves to be around you than you doing whatever you can to keep them. I wish you so much luck on this journey. It is hard, it is challenging. I have to remind myself every day. You know, this isn't just something that it clicks for you, by the way. I will point that out. So at the weekend, for example, with that guy, I had to think about my response. I had to have my mini pep talk in my head. But even then, you learn, you respond differently next time. You have to make a conscious effort. It is not something that just comes. This journey, as I've said many, many, many times before, there is no end result. It is a continuous journey that you're constantly learning, growing, reflecting, moving forward, side steps, maybe even backwards to propel you forward. You are learning and growing every day. Don't be hard on yourself on the times where you do drop your boundaries, your values, but reflect on it. Don't even be afraid, by the way, of dropping your boundaries, and then when you do reflect on that, of changing your mind. So say, for example, you have agreed to something, but it is bothering you, it is playing on your mind, you don't really want to do that, you wish you'd said something else instead, or whatever the situation. Come back to that person and say, hey, look, I know I said this, but actually, I know I said I can work extra hours over the weekend, but actually I really need to spend time with my family. Hey, I know I said that I could help you with moving house, but I'm going to really struggle for then because I'm I'm actually having back pain and I don't want to cause any further issues, but maybe can I help with anything else? Hey, I know I said that we could meet up for that date, but actually meeting at 9 p.m. is really late for me, and I prioritize my sleep and rest. Is there any chance we could meet earlier? Then we've still got lots of time before I have to head home. These are just examples. I wish you so much luck, and as always, be kind to yourself. Like I say, this healing, this growth isn't linear. You have to make that conscious effort. And don't worry if you make a mistake along the way. I make them all the time. Promise. So thank you as always. And I really hope that this has supported you and guided you and helped give you some ideas of how you can navigate your values and communicating your boundaries and maintaining them. Because you honestly do deserve to live a life that fills your cup. A life where you truly love yourself, respect yourself, don't abandon yourself for other people, and people will love you for who you are. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave a rating, a review, and also if you don't follow me on social media, you will find me on Instagram, You Deserve Better Podcast with dots in between. You can always send me a DM. I'm more than happy to help, and I love hearing from you guys. I really, truly do. It is a beautiful community that we are building here, full of like-minded women that are prioritizing their growth, their healing, and working on themselves, but alongside others who wish for the same. You are magical, you are worthy, you are beautiful, you are absolutely incredible, and you deserve better. I love you so much. Take care, and I'll see you again on the next episode.